Hello there guys. .NET Study Room welcomes you to the WPF Chronicles series. In this video, we are going to be friends with the toolbox of WPF. And then we are going to see how to create basic UI using drag and drop, and also by writing XAML code. So let's start by opening our main window.xaml file. By default, you should be able to see the toolbox whenever you open any XAML file. But if you cannot see it, then go to the View menu and find Toolbox submenu. Click to open. Also, you can directly use hotkeys to open Toolbox, Control with W and X. The toolbox will be opened and displayed to the leftmost edge of window. There is this pin icon. If you click it, Toolbox will be auto-hidden when not focused. And then you'll have to click on this button on left edge to view Toolbox. Toolbox will hide when you are using Editor, giving you more space to view the file being edited. I'll keep it pinned for now. Now let's close Toolbox, and we'll use hotkeys. Keep Control key pressed, and sequentially press W, then X, then release Control key. And Toolbox is opened again. For your convenience, you can actually place the toolbox wherever you feel comfortable. Just click and hold the title bar of Toolbox, and drag it across the Visual Studio window. You can see a floating guide, which helps you directly dock the toolbox to any side. Top, bottom, left, right, wherever you want. Just give it a try and find best suitable place. The left edge works best for me, so I'll drag it back there. Now let's peek inside the toolbox and see what all things are there. Toolbox contains 3 sections, but the section with header general is empty one. So just 2 sections. The common WPF controls contains a few controls, which you may use frequently. And if you see all WPF controls, you can see the controls present in common section, as well as a lot other controls. So, common section is provided just for quick access to commonly used controls. All controls are placed alphabetically, except that first one is pointer, which isn't actually a control. It is there if you want to unselect any control, click pointer, and selection is gone. Same can be done using escape key. Pressing escape key will unselect the control, and you get back to pointer. Now let's see how we can place a control inside window, and then what all different things we can do with it. One way to place a control is, click on that control, then click on the designer where you to place it. Simple. The XAML code automatically updates to reflect changes in designer. XAML code and designer, both are always updated in sync. Another way to place control is, drag it and drop on the designer, or on XAML file. Simple again. The not-so-simple way is to write everything in the XAML file and see it update on the designer. Watch me doing it. First of all, I will change self-closing grid tag to separate opening and closing elements, and then add a new element, button. I'll give width attribute with value 80, and then another attribute, height, and give it a value, say 50. And then I'll press backslash to close the element. You can see in Designer a button of given dimensions. This button has no text in it, so let's add content attribute and set value button. Designer updates only when complete XAML is valid and not incomplete. Just like the controls can be added from Toolbox, their attributes or properties can be edited from graphical user interface. When a control is selected, press the F4 key and a properties page is displayed at right edge of window. Another way to show properties is, find it in the View menu. There can also be some hotkey you can use to show it. Control, WP. I'll now pin the properties window so that it's accessible while editing. We can directly edit properties from here. For example, change value of content to OK and hit Enter key. XAML and Designer both are auto-updated. All properties that can be set on the selected control are listed here. IsCancel is a property defined for button control. We can define it inside the XAML file and set a value. The same value also appears in Properties window too. Because default value for IsCancel is false, there is no change observed in Properties window when I set value as false in XAML. If I change it to true, then checkbox is checked. To list all the attributes that can be set for the control, just hit the spacebar, and IntelliSense will pop a list of all settable attributes. If it is too much to scroll into the complete list, you can start typing a few characters of the attribute you want to set, and the list will update to show attributes matching the word you are typing, not necessarily starting with those characters, but also containing those characters too. Now once I complete editing XAML and save the file using Ctrl+S keys, see what happens. All attributes of button element are auto-placed on separate lines. And if I remove one attribute, content, and again save the file, then button element is on single line only. If there are more than 2 attributes defined for an element, each one is placed on separate line again. This is not default behavior of the Visual Studio Editor, but is provided by an extension. Let me quickly introduce you with this extension. The name of the extension is XAML Styler for Visual Studio 2022. I highly recommend you to use this. It's going to make your XAML code more readable and more maintainable. Now let's turn back to the XAML editor, and let me show you a useful feature that Visual Studio provides out of the box. It's called Change Tracker. Notice the left side of XAML editor shows line numbers. And there are a few expanders, which you can use to collapse and expand the code at control level. Now I will start editing XAML code. Let's add a property, horizontal alignment, and set it a value, center. As soon as I started editing file, a change tracker appeared. You can see what it means on its tooltip. This one says, change, not saved. When I save file, the tracker turns green. And now tooltip says save change. Now I will revert all the changes using Ctrl+Z keys until I reach a point where document has no changes. The tracker turns into blue-white color strips. And tooltip says, reverted change, not saved. When I press Ctrl+S keys, the change tracker is disappeared. Now there are no tracked changes in the file. Now let's again add a property, horizontal alignment, set a value, and manually delete the last changes. The change tracker still shows that there are changes. It does not recognize that changes were reverted because we did not use undo action for reverting changes. Now I'll save the file. Tracker turns green. The same color as tracker is also seen on the vertical scroll bar of the file. This is helpful in identifying the places in the complete file where XAML content is changed. This is especially useful when editing large files, and you need to scroll to the changes fast. That's it for this video. We have learned the basics of editing a XAML file and using the controls. Try experimenting with Toolbox and XAML Designer. I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe to the .NET Study Room channel if you haven't already. Bye.